In Escape from Tarkov, there are 190 different rounds, 178 of which being different bullet types, and 24 of those 178 being different calibers. I'm going to show you a build for every single caliber in the game, the best gun with the best build. But things like the Taz and like the Rhino and the Desert Eagle, I'll just show a brief like build. I'll show you what gun uses that caliber. But for things like 5.56 and stuff, I will show you the meta build for the best gun for each caliber. Okay, so coming to the M4, everyone's seen the meta M4 build. It's really simple, really quick. They're on the AX-15 with the ARE, and then the Daniel Defense with the smaller butt pad. For your pistol grip, you'll want the Growl. And then your magazine, you can run a 60. Sorry, my mouse is doing a weird thing right now. Charging handle, Raptor, and then up front. So you can go with the Mark 12 18-inch barrel, and this will give you the best ergo with the new suppressor from 1.0. But if you go with the Hansen 16-inch, this is what I think is the better build. And then throw on the Low Pro with the SAIQD, and then underneath M-Lock with a SE5, and underneath Boulder Pro. You can use the Canted RK1. You can also use something like a Cobra, an SI Cobra, if you want better ergo. But I'll just go with the SE5 for now. And then up front, up front you'll want to put on the G-Lock with its suppressor, and then you'll want the Chris Defiance iron sights on the front and back. These together will add 1 ergo, and they're the lightest iron sights you can put on. But any iron sight that adds ergo will work. And then you can either run something like a hollow, like just like that, or if you want to go like full meta, the Geisley with the ring on top and something like a Voodoo. But I think that's just kind of a waste of money. It only adds 1 ergo, that adds 0.5, and then the actual mount adds 0.5, so it's like putting on the iron sights. But what I like to do, what I think looks cleaner and is just easier, is the Night Force 30mm and then your scope. It doesn't it takes away 1 ergo, but it's not that big of a deal. And these are the stats for the build. This is with the Night Force. Just add an extra ergo with the Geisley. But yeah, that's the best M4 you can make. That's it with a 60 rounder, and this is it with the best 30 rounder you can put in. Okay, up next is 545. For this, we'll look at the NL545 GP. The DI version is also really good, but it just has 50 less RPM. The GP version takes HK parts. So what you'll want to do is change out, this is for the short barrel version, I'll also show you the long barrel, is change out the long barrel for the 11.5 inch, and then put on the gas block again, and put on the 416 Troy, or TROY. This is like the carbon fiber handguard. Underneath M-Lock with I like to run an SI Cobra just for that extra ergo, and then underneath put on weapon flashlight. Try to put this on the sides. I just put it underneath so you can see it at all times when I'm doing the build, but I've heard that when it's underneath, people can see your head if it's flashing on them. And then up front, you'll want a G-Lock with the suppressor, and then just slap back on the same iron sights you had. They're a little bit heavier than the Chris Defiance, but don't worry about it. They still add half an ergo each, so it's an extra 1 ergo having them. And then on top, I just like to run a hollow with this. And then for the bottom, Growl, and then you'll go ARE with a Daniel Fence and a small butt pad. And yeah, that is the best short barrel that you can make. I do like to run these with 45 round magazines as well. This is definitely how I like to run it the most. But then with the long barrel, you'll just slap on the long barrel, put on the gas block, and I like to run it with the 15-inch CRUX, with an M-Lock and an SE5, and underneath I'm just going to put on the whip flashlight again, and then once again, just put on the G-Lock, wherever that's gone, sorry, with its suppressor. And then you can't put an iron sight up front, but it doesn't really matter. These are the stats with the long barrel, and these are the stats with the short barrel. Sorry about that. There you go, short barrel stats right there. Yeah, that's the best NL545 GP. Okay, up next is 7.62 by 39. I'm going to show you the mutant, but the RD704 is also extremely good, and it's a pretty similar build. I think the mutant is definitely overrated, but I'll still show you it anyways. Put on an ARE with a Daniel Defense with a small butt pad, and then of course a Growl. Underneath, you can't run 60s with this, so sometimes I do like to run the 45s, but honestly, with the fire rate being as low as it is at 650, I do just think 30s are fine. Same with the RD704. The RD704 is actually a little slower at 600 RPM, so that's why people say it's worse than the mutant, but I don't know about that. For the barrel, you want the 409-inch with the CMMG gas block, changing out the handguard for the SAS handguard. And then up front, you can run a BMD, and this will make your ergo a lot better, and actually your recoil. But if you want it suppressed, I would run it with the QDC and the PRS suppressor, and then underneath just throw on your flashlight or laser, and then underneath I either like to run this with the Canted RK1 or the SE5. Up top, it already has a sight that adds ergo, so don't worry about changing that. And then I like to either run this with like a hollow or just slap on a 30mm ring mount with something like a Voodoo. If I'm using it suppressed, I'm usually using this on maps that are more farther range, something like Customs or Shoreline. But if I'm running like labs with a mutant, I usually just run it unsuppressed with a BMD. But these are the stats suppressed. These are the stats with the BMD unsuppressed. And yeah, that's the best mutant that you can make. Okay, looking at 9 by 39, this is a pretty simple one. It's just the ASVal mod 4. It's just a better version of the ASVal and the VSS. So what you'll want to do is, I actually like to run the SI Cobra because the recoil is already so low on this. And then the front attachment, usually you don't have to change this because normally it just comes as is right here, and that's the best that you can have it. It already has sights that add ergo on the top, and then I just like to throw on an RM33 with the SRO on this. And then underneath already has the best in slot pistol grip. So what you'll want to do is change out the stock for the Daniel Defense and put on the smaller butt pad. On all these builds, the ARE would be better if you're trying to get less recoil, but overall, I think ergo is more important right now than recoil for most builds, so try to use the Daniel Defense with the smaller butt pad. And then, yeah, that's all you can do for the ASVal mod 4. That's how you make the best ASVal mod 4. Not really much going on, but it is the best 9x39 weapon in the game, and these are the stats. Oh, one thing, don't forget to put on the mod 4 magwell. This just adds an extra 4 ergo, which is actually quite a bit. That's the stats with it on. Okay, up next is 7.62 by 51. We'll look at the MDR for this. Another good one is the AK308, but it does have slightly worse stats. So with the MDR, you put on the long barrel with the ALX20 underneath, M-Lock with an SE5 underneath, rail with a Balder Pro. Once again, you can run something like an SI Cobra or the Canted RK1 on this, so don't think that you need to run the SE5. I mean, if you have them, run them, but like it's up to you. Up front, put on the QDC with the PRS suppressor, and then Chris Defiance iron sights on the front and back for that extra ergo. Your 30mm ring mount on top. I like to run a Voodoo. And then put in the 25 round Lancer mags. And yeah, that is the best 7.62 MDR that you can make. These are the stats for it. And yeah, okay, 12.7 by 55 now. This is kind of not a useless cartridge, but it's used in the RSH-12 and the Ash-12, with the RSH-12 actually being a revolver, so I don't see how it would be better than the Ash-12. On the Ash-12, just kind of take off everything. Switch out the mag for the 20 round mag. 10 rounds is kind of atrocious. And then underneath SE5, and then you can keep it loud, or if you want to suppress it, we'll take away 20 ergo and add 5 recoil. But if you want a suppressor, then I would go for it. On the side, just put on whichever laser weapon flashlight you want, and then Chris Defiance, and then I like to just run this with something like a UH1 or just like a regular like XPS0, just a hollow. But I would run it loud if I were you. It does give a big flash in your face. If you don't like that, put a suppressor on it. But these are the stats suppressed, and these are the stats unsuppressed. Just do be warned that it is very, very bouncy when you shoot it, and I wouldn't really use it full auto too much unless you're like right in someone's face. Okay, next up is 6.8 by 51. The only gun for this is the SIG MCX Spear. So on this gun, you will want to put on the UCS with its cheek rest, and then for the pistol grip, the growl. And then underneath, I like to run the 25s. You can run 30 or 50 round magazines in this as well if you want to, but I like just the 25 rounders to keep that ergo down. And then up front, M-Lock rail with an SE5 is usually your best bet. And then just slap on your weapon flashlight up front. You can change this to whichever suppressor and stuff you like, but just keeping the regular suppressor on saves money and keeps it basically the same. Up front, Chris Defiance and Chris Defiance. If you do find it with the scope and the mount, don't even like worry about changing it. But if you don't have that on, just throw on a Night Force 30mm. And then if it had the Tango, put on the Tango. But if not, just throw on something like a Voodoo. And yeah, that's how I like to run it. These are the stats with the 25 rounder. These are the stats with the 50. And yeah, best MCX Spear. Okay, 300 Blackout now. There's only 2 guns that use this. The SIG MCX and the Velociraptor. The Velociraptor just kind of really sucks. So try to just use the SIG MCX if you're going to use 300 Blackout. But what you'll want to do is change out the handguard for the CF 12-inch, it's like this carbon fiber looking one. And then what you can do, usually, at least this version right now, has the T-lock with the TPD or the TPB on it. And then you can put on the like Sig Saucer SRD 7.62. This will take you to 39 and 68, but what you can also do is throw on the QDC and put on the PRS with it, and this will take you to 40 and 69. So up to you if you want one less vertical recoil or one extra ergo. What you can do though is if you use the 60-inch barrel, you can really put on whichever suppressor and stuff you want, but it doesn't really, it makes the ergo so bad on this gun. You throw on an M-Lock, and then I like to run either an SE5 or an SI Cobra for that extra ergo. But just for now, I'll put on an SE5 and then an M-Lock rail with your flashlight. Try to put it on the side, don't put it on the bottom. Chris Defiance with both Chris Defiance iron sights, and then I like to run this usually with a hollow, just like that. If I'm using the longer barrel, I won't run it with a hollow, but usually I'll just run it with a hollow like that, or something like an RM33 with an SRO. And then on the back here, you'll put on the UCS with the cheek pad, and then for the mag, you can run 60s with a growl. And then yeah, that's how I like to run the MCX. This is its stats with the 60 rounder. This is its stats with the best 30 rounder. And yeah, that's the best MCX that you can make. Okay, looking at one of the newest calibers added. This is added in 1.0. It's the 9.3 by 64. This only comes in the TKPD, and the only place I've seen this is in some boxes and on Sturman. I find it on Sturman the most. But this is just a really fun gun to use, and I really would suggest using this gun. You can't suppress it, so like don't even worry about that. And there's not very many like different attachments. You can put on like tan attachments for it, but don't worry about it. Underneath, it does take the SVD pistol grips or like the adapters. So put on the AGS 74 and then just throw on the Chris Defiance with this smaller butt pad. And then on top, put on the Chris Defiance iron sights just for that extra ergo. And then your Night Force 30mm ring mount, and then I just like to run it with a Voodoo underneath. I do like to run an SE5 on this, and then just on the side, slap on your weapon flashlight, just like that. And there's nothing to really do with the barrel. You can put on a shorter barrel, but I wouldn't worry about it. Just use whichever barrel comes with it. I more use this for like a lot longer ranges. Like I run this on like woods or lighthouse, but it is more of like a meme gun. It's like using the Mjolnir, sort of like 338 Lapua, just unsuppressed, just kind of sending it at people. But yeah, that is how you would probably want to build this gun out. And these are the stats. Okay, speaking of 338 Lapua, there is like the Seiko and the MCX, but who wants a bolt action, you know? Like, let's just go straight to the Mark 18, the Mjolnir. Semi-auto 338 Lapua. Slap on an ARE, of course, with the Chris Defiance and the smaller butt pad, and then you'll want your Growl. And then you can't change the mag, can't really change anything on this gun, but underneath you'll put on your SE5. With your weapon flashlight. I do actually like to run the RK1 when I've run this gun. This is very rare that I run this gun. It's very super late wipe, super expensive to run. But I do run it with the RK1 when I have used it, just because I think it looks way cooler. But it's probably more effective with the SE5. And then up front, there are multiple suppressors that you can put on this. There is the TMB 338. This will take you to 14.7 and 294. And then there is also the PRS with the Thor, and this will take you to 17.7 at 294. It doesn't matter what you run on it. And you can just run it with the AC, like 858. This will give you a lot more ergo. This is how I like to run it, because ergo is really everything, and the vertical recoil is just going to be so high regardless. So don't even worry about it. Then just put on your Chris Defiance, and then your 30mm ring mount with something like a Voodoo. And yeah, that's really as good as you're gonna get the Mjolnir. I would run it unsuppressed, just sounds way cooler and it scares people. But if you do want it suppressed, put the Thor on it. Okay, for 762x54R, it's really just the SVDS. There is whatever the little ratty gun is, but I wouldn't worry about it because you can't really suppress it. So if you do want to run the SVDS, you can run it unsuppressed. This is used for Punisher 5, I think. Whichever Punisher it's used for, I don't remember. But I like to run it suppressed and snipe with it, so just put on the suppressor, like the mount for the suppressor and the suppressor. And then up top, take off the top like dust cover and take off the handguard. And then we'll switch this, the SVDS like FT, switch it to the SAG Mark 1, and then put on the SVDS CDC, and then underneath you can put on like the MVF 001. This adds 10 ergo. This is the best in slot ergo for like a foregrip. But what you can also do is run something just like regular, like an SI Cobra, and then underneath just slap on your flashlight. You can put a tripod there if you're sniping. And then I put on the 20 rounders, and you can switch this for the PSVDS. This just lets you put on AGS 74, SVDS adapter, with your ARE and your Daniel defense, and then on the side for the charging handle, where is it? Can you not put? Oh, never mind. It doesn't go on this. Don't worry about it. But then you'll just put on 30mm with your voodoo. Yeah, that's how I like to run the SVDS. Okay, up next with 5.7 is the P90. Pretty simple build. Just throw on the suppressor, put on the bigger charging handle for extra ergo, biggest butt pad, extra ergo. Sorry, change the top for the the tiny one, the EFEN 90, or well, FN, EFEN. Anyways, then you'll just put on RM33 with the SRO, and then on the side they're on the rail with something like a Balder Pro, and yeah, that's how you'll want to run your P90. They can also come green. I actually like the way the green looks. I think the green is pretty good looking. But yeah, that's the best you can make a P90. Those are the stats. It does shoot pretty fast, and it shoots 5.7, so try to use SS190. Okay, one of my favorite guns for 4.6 by 30. This is the MP7. It's like the MP7 caliber. You just put on the Rotex 2. It's like an 100K suppressor, so like you can run it unsuppressed if you don't got the funds for that. SE5, and then 40 rounders if you can, and then just slap on your Chris Defiance iron sights with an RM33 and an SRO. And then on the side, don't forget something like a Balder Pro. And yeah, that's how I like to run the MP7, specifically the A2. The regular one, or the A1, has an already built-in foregrip, so don't worry about a foregrip for that one if you have the black one. But yeah, these are the stats right here. And yeah, okay, so for 9mm, you can run the 9mm Vector, but this does have a higher fire rate, I do believe. And it's a lot cheaper to make. So what you want to do is put on the A3 RSA, and then the UCS with the UCS like cheat code, and you'll put on the 32 round magazines, and for the barrel you'll change it to the PA 114mm, and then put on the A3 M lock. This is like the little like hand shield, whatever. It gives you the best stats. It's better than any foregrip that you can put on this. And then just put on the SRD9 with this. And then you can put on a weapon flashlight on the side. And up top, once again, just an RM33 with an SRO. And that is the best 9mm gun, in my opinion. Some people like the 9mm Vector more because you can run 50 rounders in it. But I just like how snappy and how quick the 9mm Vector, the Uzi, or not Vector, Uzi Pro pistol is. And these are the stats: really good ergo, really good recoil, very high fire rate. Okay, so 45 ACP we will look at a Vector. On this, just throw on the DT Omega with the Omega 45K. And then I like to take off the side rails and, put on the 6-inch barrel if you can, and then the DT Omega with the 45K. And then underneath put on the Mark V, and I like to run an SE5 on this, but it's probably better to run an SI Cobra, honestly, for that extra ergo. And then on the sides here, slap on the Balder Pro. Already comes with Chris Defiance iron sights on the back. Put on the Vector NFA with an ARE and your Daniel defense with a smaller butt pad. Put on the 30 round G30 mags, the Glock 45 mags. And then once again, RM33 with an SRO, and that's how I like to run the 45 Vector. These are the stats right here. And yeah, okay, so 9x21. This is an interesting caliber. SR2M uses this, and the Shrimp. What you'll want to do is put on the SV, the only suppressor that goes with the SR2M, and then up top put on the rail with the RM33 and your SRO. And then throw on the 30 round magazines. There's nothing really you can do to the stock. You can put on the SR2MP. This just adds 1 extra ergo. And then on the side, slap on your Balder Pro or whichever weapon, flashlight, laser attachment you like. And yeah, that's the best SR2M you can make. These are the stats right here. If you don't put on the stock, just take away 1 ergo, 64 instead of 65. And yeah, it's pretty good overall. Pretty good budget gun, actually. And yeah, okay, coming to 308, it's the MXLR. It's the lever action. Everyone knows the lever action. It's probably the most popular early wipe gun. I haven't used it much lately, but if you're trying to make it the best you can, put on the RPP lever. This just adds 5 ergo. And then on the back, add the RPP spur. This also just adds 1.5 ergo. And on the back, you'll want to put on the ELG. This adds 3 and takes away 4, I believe, or adds 4, and then from the regular stock, it'll take away 4 vertical recoil. For the foregrip, I do like to just put on, so either the mag pull, like these ones, or one of the ones that just takes away ergo and doesn't add, or takes away recoil and doesn't add any ergo. But honestly, you'll probably just want the ergo. So what you can go for is the RPP M-lock, like kind of the square looking ones, but not the, like, I don't know how to explain it. Whatever. Just, it doesn't really matter what foregrip you put on. And then just throw on something like an SI Cobra. You're really just going for as much ergo as you can get with these guns because there is no suppressor. Just put on that with a ring mount and then something like a Voodoo. And that is the best lever action or MXLR that you can make. I do believe this is the only gun that uses 308 as of right now. So once more 308 guns come out, I will make more videos on those. But right now, this is the best 308 gun. Okay, coming to 12 gauge, we will look at the full auto Sega 12. This is probably the best shotgun in the entire game. The only place I've ever found this is on Tagilla. So if you do want to use this gun a lot, just farm Tagilla for it. But it usually comes like pre-built, pretty okay, I'd say. But the biggest thing you want for this gun is the vertical recoil because it is a full auto shotgun. Your ADS time will usually never be great, especially if you're running drums, which is like the only way you can really use this gun. So just try to point fire as much as you can. So a laser is definitely optimal for this gun. But what you want to do first is put on the CSS AK on the charging handle there. Just adds extra 3 ergo, and then on the back here, the PT with the PT3. This will take it down to 158 and 41.5. And then you'll want the AGS 74, and then for the drums, it doesn't matter which drum you run. Underneath, you will want, I actually like to run the canted RK1 on this. You can put bipod on it. I don't know why you would, but you know, it's there. This is another thing that you can put on just for flashlights and stuff, but don't worry about it. Just throw on the Balder Pro on the side. Usually it comes with the M-Claw already. But if it doesn't, literally just throw on the M-Claw. It's the best in slot that you can put on there. And then on the back, add the Christifiance and Christifiance. And then up top, put on something like a UH1. This gives you more of like a proper like vision of what your spread is going to be, because there's a little ring around it. I do like to run this on shotguns if I'm running a sight on shotguns. So just take that as a note, and then you can put on the AK 303M just to add an extra ergo. And yeah, that is probably the best shotgun in the entire game. I would point fire with this. I actually do like to run 2 lasers with it sometimes just because it's easier to see where you're aiming. But yeah, these are the stats for it. Awful ergo, terrible vertical recoil, but it's a full auto shotgun. Okay, looking at 23 by 75 millimeters. This is just the KS23. Either you strap 10 and shoot someone in the legs and they will die in 1 hit up close, or use the flashbang rounds and use it to get your flashbang kills. on like factory or something, but you can just throw on the sight that comes with it now. And then there's really nothing else you can do. You can put a shorter barrel on it if you want, but it really doesn't matter. And then there's also the like wire stock and stuff, but just however you find the KS3, use it. KS23, use it. And I like to just use it with the flashbang rounds for the one task where you gotta get however many kills with your enemies being flashed. All right, so the TAWs, everyone knows the TAWs, the 20 gauge, stupid, whatever. You can run the 5-shot mags, whatever these are, and then just throw on a cheek rest and a nice little sniper sight for you. Oh yeah, don't forget the sniper sight. Hell yeah, with the slugs, best TAWs you can make. It's a joke, by the way. Don't use the TAWs. Okay, for 9x18, it's just gonna be the PP91 Keter B. This is the suppressed version of the Keter. It's my favorite. I like to use this early wipe. Literally, there's nothing you can do to it. You can't change it at all. Just run the 30 rounders in and just spray at people's legs. It's really good early wipe. Sorry about that. You don't actually gotta spray people's legs early wipe if you just hit their heads. But yeah, just, I don't know. Very, very budget gun. All right, for 7.62x25, this actually got some new bullets this wipe that are like 5.56 variants. Like you got like the M995 version, the M855A1 version, the M856A1 version. It's weird. I don't know. They have actually pretty high bullet velocities. It's weird. I don't know. But usually the PPSH is used for leg meta. You just throw in the drum mag and you're good to go. That's literally the only thing you can do to this gun. It shoots extremely fast, and with 71 rounds, you can just shred people's legs. Okay, for 357, there is a deagle for 357. The Rhino used to be the only gun that was in 357, but the deagle's not terrible. Like, just throw on something like an RM33 and an SRO, and you can use this as a sidearm. But there's not really much else you can do to this gun. Can't really change anything. Just put a sight on it, and it's not a terrible sidearm. I've used them before. 357 is not an awful round, especially earlier game, but yeah. Okay, and then for 50 AE, it is of course just a deagle again. Just throw on same thing like an RM33, and just try to like tap people's heads, I guess. 50 AE does actually have some decent cartridges, but it's just like, it's kind of a gimmicky like thing. You can get like a Tiger Stripe version of the 50 AE Desert Eagle, 50 AE or I don't remember, but you can get a Tiger Stripe version of the Desert Eagle if you kill the goons. And then last up is the VPO 209 for the 366 TKM. Actually, I think there's 25 different calibers as opposed to 24 that I said at the start of the video, so I don't know. I'll correct myself. Just take out the backside, put on the Bastion, throw on the AGS-74, and then on the back here, you want the Zukov S with, just run 30s at semi-auto. And then you'll put on your VS combo with your SE5 underneath, and then put on the suppressor, the 366 suppressor, and then on the left side, just put on a rail with something like a Balder Pro, and up top, put on your 30mm ring mount with a Voodoo. This actually isn't a terrible gun, I won't lie. It's semi-auto, but you can use the AP rounds, and if someone's wearing tier 4 armor or under, it will just one-shot them to the chest. So just be aware of that early wipe. If you see someone with like a VPO 209, and you have tier 4 armor on, it will just, if he has AP, you're done. But yeah, it's not a terrible gun. I would use it. It has pretty high vertical recoil, but it's just kind of like any other AK, just semi-auto. It's like the AK-308 if it was just semi-auto. But yeah, these are the stats for it. You can run it with a 50-round mag or drum, but I wouldn't really. 30 is probably good enough. Okay, so that was the best gun with the best build for every ammo type in the entire game. All 25 of them. I did say 24 at the start. I meant 25. And yeah, just make sure when you're looking through ammo and you find something like BP, just look at the penetration, look at the damage. Usually, just whatever has the highest penetration is the best round.